The strike, called by Nigeria's two biggest labor unions, appears to have had limited compliance. The Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress had asked their members to stay at home to protest against the rising cost of living, unpaid wages, a hike in fuel prices, and what they say is officially sanctioned brutality and humiliation of workers. That's despite a court order barring them from doing so. Arise News correspondent filed this report.
In Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, compliance with the strike was partial. In reaction, labor leaders went round to effect compliance in various offices at the Federal Secretariat.
Since September, no salary for some workers.
And Labour did not come.
And Labour did not do anything. You are not going to head of service to ask them why they refuse to pay salary.
And he went to Imo State to go and participate in the election that does not concern him. It's being partisan. We are not going to go on strike. We are not ready.
Are you saying Labour is
totally partisan? It's partisan. They are biased. We at the federal level, we are suffering. Issue of strike is not warrant. We don't want to go on strike. When the issue supposed to go on strike, we did not go on strike. Now that it's happened in Imo State, now is now calling us to go on strike.
Because injury to one is injury to all. They want to kill our national president. Then we fold our arms and be looking. And injury to one is injury to all. It's not only because of NLC President alone. The state of the nation.
Okay.
The subsidy removal.
Yes.
Government is not implementing the way the two labor centers enter MOU with them.
However, Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria shut down the National Assembly. All entries to the complex were closed, causing traffic gridlock, while National Assembly staff and other commuters had to walk to their destination.
Have you collected the food? Have you collected the food?
In Kano, workers observed partial compliance to the directive, with a few civil servants present at the Federal Secretariat. Banks and other businesses within the state capital opened to the public.
We have achieved almost 90% compliance from various organizations and institutions here in Kano State. We are very much impressed with the turnout of the people, compliance of the people.
In Plateau State, the strike was total, but workers are divided on whether the Imo incident was enough reason to shut down the country's economy.
They went and voted this on Saturday in somebody's house, and we want us to respect it. We are the same indigenous of this country. If the court is just for the government, let's continue that way.
I do not support the fact that the national president of the NLC was brutalized or was manhandled by the security agencies, but I don't think that should be the singular reason for which we should embark on a strike. How much is fuel?
Labor leaders in Sokoto and Katsina states say they are poised to ensure total compliance.
We are complying. There is no matter how we are complying for these directives. Sokoto State are going for the strike, which we started from today, inshallah.
Workers should withdraw their services from today, Tuesday, the 14th November 2023. In view of that, all state chairmen of the appellate of the TUC and NLC are therefore requested to engage in mobilization and enforcement.
In the southwestern states of Ekiti and Oyo, there was significant level of compliance.
In our state, people are saying, have we been paying that we are going for Igbo this, Igbo that? No, as we are treating what is happening there, the reflection of it will come to all other states.
You are not talking of another round of indefinite strike. From where I'm coming from, go to EBDC at least to purchase energy. The place is short. So that means I cannot have electricity for God knows how long, until when they decide to start work again. And I'm glad at least I could get into the bank and make some transaction.
The workers' strike is in spite of a warning from the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation that the action amounts to contempt of court because of a subsistent court order stopping it.
In the meantime, the former president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, is expressing disapproval of the ongoing strike, saying that it does not adequately address the crucial issues facing workers. The senator representing Edo North Senatorial District warns against mixing political opinions with labor union responsibilities. He's also urging the NLC to prioritize engagement with state governments that have not implemented the agreed wage for workers in their states. He was speaking at the presidential villa in Abuja. Well, for more, our colleague Charles Aniagolu turned to the president of the Trade Union Congress, Festus Usifu. Well, joining us now on the morning show is Comrade Adejumo Ismail Ishala, Public Relations Officer, Nigerian Labour Congress, Lagos State Chapter. Good morning, Comrade Adejumo, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning for having me on Arise TV this morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, Comrade Adejumo, we've heard that, in some states, there was, good compliance with the directive of NLC and TUC to go on strike yesterday. And in those states, the refrain is that an injury to one is an injury to all. But in some states, as you have seen in the report by Arise News correspondents, some people said, well, it's because it is Imo that is involved and there is partisanship involved. And the issue is not about the interest of particularly federal workers. And that federal worker, federal civil servant that was shown said they will not be part of it. Well, in Lagos State, it was also reported that the NLC branch in Lagos State did not join the strike. Banks were open, schools were open yesterday. Life goes on as normal. So Lagos State NLC is on the side of those, I'm asking, who think that, look, this is a partisan move, not necessarily in the interest of organized labor, even if the NLC president was brutalized in his home state.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruben Abati. The issue here in Lagos is so peculiar. And as you already know, Lagos is the center of excellence where the economy is driven by private sector. Aside that, the directive came at the right time. And if you could recall, before the actual commencement yesterday, there was a picketing that was organized from Lagos here and in Abuja to give a signal to the government to weigh in on the brutality and maltreatment of our comrade members in Imo State. But be that as it may, there was no any swift reaction to that effect to address all those demands. And the demands are very numerous, which we felt that the office of the President of the Labour Congress is a very, very powerful position. As it is the commander-in-chief of all Aluta Forces in Nigeria. If his position should be desecrated to that level, should be ridiculed, then all the Nigerian workers have been ridiculed. Moving forward, even during the military era, we have never got it this bad for a labor leader to be brutalized in such manner, despite whatever circumstances or coloration anybody will want to give it. We know there is alleged partisanship of our leadership taking part in active politics, but we know for sure that Nigerian Labour Congress is an integral part of the political and social system of Nigeria. Whatever issue that might arise in Imo State, we believe the governor and the leadership of NLC, which he has already polarized with his own selfish interests, we must reason along with the generality of the workers in Imo State. But here in Lagos, we have a very listening governor who is worker-friendly, very, very proactive. On the issue of the proposed wage award, he has already called on the Labour leadership at the level of the JNC to work out a modality to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal by paying a reasonable amount of the wage award to the workers in Lagos State. Aside that, we in Lagos, we are determined and in total solidarity with the national leadership of NLC any day, any time. And that is why when the directive was given, we quickly swift into action by calling all our branches and our various chapters to ensure compliance. And substantially in Lagos, people are already complying. If you go to major government offices, have been totally shut down. If you look at the airport, the port authority yesterday, it was totally granted. And you know what that means? We are not saying that we are not the wealth creation of the nation, but the government should be mindful of the sensitivity and the importance of Nigerian worker, not to allow any governor or any leader at any level to rubbish or to desecrate the office of the national president of our Congress. It is totally unacceptable, and we are standing solidly in solidarity with our national president and the leadership of NLC and TUC, because it's a joint resolution.
Comrade, so this is the grouse against Labour, and like you said, nobody should hurt anybody, and we totally condemn what was done to Jerry. But this is the grouse of a lot of people. They said Labour has dropped the ball. That when Labour ought to go on strike, when the palliatives talk was on and the economic situation was fighting hard, Labour disappointed the Nigerian people by saying, no, let's still give more time. Including TUC was also cooperating in this. And that's what some of the workers are saying, that Labour consistently has disappointed the Nigerian people and they don't take Labour seriously any longer. That the things they ought to go on strike for was not tenable. That when they ought to go on strike, they didn't go on strike. So the things they're going on strike for now is not tenable. Okay, take for instance, part of the things Labour advocated for was for the refineries to work. The president promised the refinery will work in December. Now we are hearing Heidi Lokobiri, a minister, saying otherwise, that it's the first phase of the Port Harcourt refinery. So crude oil refinery is not still going on. The hardship is still a lot of people. Fuel prices in some areas, in fact, is beginning to increase, going up to 600 naira now. So the pain is on a lot of people. And they're saying, when we expect Labour to speak, they are not speaking. They're saying Labour are hypocrites. That's what they're saying. I put it to you. What say you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Rufai Hussaini. We are very, very mindful of the current economic challenge in Nigeria. We sympathize with the Nigerian workers, which we represent. Equally, we sympathize with the generality of Nigerians on this very, very unfortunate situation we have at hand in Nigeria. The economy is in shambles, we know for sure, and that is why we are very, very sensitive in engaging government. At the initial stage, when this negotiation came on board, if you could remember vividly, there was all consensus about subsidy removal, that is the only solution. But the modality for the removal was not negotiated properly. Is it going to be at a go, or is it going to be incremental, that will not bring so much hardship on the masses? And that was the initial mistake that we felt the government made by just declaring that subsidy is gone. What is the implementation framework of the impact of this subsidy removal? We know the price of commodities has gone up, and every other services has also gone up. We in the public sector that are earning salary, our salary has never increased by a naira, not until the Labour took it upon itself to engage the government aggressively by doing something. Because most of the employers of Labour in the private sector have already jacked up their services and price of commodity they are selling in compliance with the economy reality. It is we in the public sector, in the government work and other private sector that are vulnerable. And that is why we always call on the masses, civil society organization, the media, to support the Labour in pressing home our demand. We are very, very mindful that strike should not be the last option. But in this instance, there is no option to press home our demand than to embark on strike. And the one we are in now is not based on the issue of economic hardship, although it's part of it, but the major reason for this strike at this moment is because the government of the day want to desecrate the office of the president of the Congress, which will portend a great danger to all the leadership of Labour in all the states of the Federation. And we can't take that anymore. And that is why we are in unison and solidarity. Thank you.
Totally subscribe to that. The government should never desecrate the office of the leadership of Labour. I totally 100% agree with you. But people are saying when Labour ought to have gone on strike for the interests of the people, Labour disappointed the people. When petrol price went up, when the standard of living went up and the people thought Labour was going to stand for them, Labour stood with the government. You just had 1 or 2 days warning strike, and before you know it, you were quick to call off the strike. So how can the people trust you? That's what the people are. We're speaking for the people. The people say they don't trust you, Labour, any longer because it's always about you. And they're even by extension saying that if your president was not desecrated now, you wouldn't be going on strike. So you don't care about the people. That's what they're telling you.
No, Comrade Mr. Rufai, that is very, very untrue. You will know, if you could recall vividly, at the initial stage, we are reasonable, that's why we are organized labor. We have professionals in our midst. We look at all the economic indices. We know that our economic is in a very precarious situation at that moment, that subsidy, there was a consensus on the need for subsidy to go. It's because the modality for implementation of that subsidy removal was not properly negotiated, and all the stakeholders did not key into the implementation of the framework. That was why there was a bit challenge. And now, moving forward, we have been pushing harder on the government that they must come up with the public transport, the CNG buses that they have promised. We are still waiting for it. The issue of refinery, you have said, our leadership are engaging government on this based on the timeline set, because initially when this matter started, there was no time frame for implementing all the agreements. So we have to go back to the table to set a time frame. That was why they give 1 month deadline, that if government did not implement the wage award and other agreements within 1 month, we embark on a strike.
Okay, Comrade
to press home our demand. We want to call on Nigerians that they should rebuild confidence in us. We are the only voice. If you look at it now, the National Assembly have been compromised. The judiciary, we don't know where they belong to. The only voice Nigerians have now, apart from the fourth estate of the realm, which is the media, is the labor movement. And we should not allow this only surviving voice for the Nigerian to be desecrated and ridiculed by any democratic junta in Imo State. We want Nigeria to support this agitation. Okay. By the time we restore sanctity and dignity in the labor movement, we create the wealth of this nation. We should not be rubbish. And that is our position. Okay, we are in pain and we are in solidarity with Nigerians that this pain will not last longer. We are going to fight it together.
We get your point. Comrade Adejumo, Senator of the Federal Republic, yes, former NLC President, has had cause to admonish organized labor to focus on the key issues, which is a suggestion by him, and he should know, having been there before, even when some of the people leading now were still, observers. So do you agree with him that in this particular strike action, we go back to that same point? If you don't agree with ordinary people, how about a former NLC president saying that labor should remain focused? That's number one. Number two, what is the plan of action in Lagos today? Today is day 2 of the strike. You said in Lagos State there have been some picketing, but according to the reports, there is really no strike going on in Lagos. But what is the plan of the NLC branch in Lagos State for today, day 2?
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruben Abati. With due respect to our very distinguished senator, a very gallant comrade, an SY Commander-in-Chief of all Aluta Forces in Nigeria, our own revered comrade Adejumo. The statement is, we can't condemn what our leader have said, but what we want to say is that injury to one is injury to all. During the days of Comrade Adejumo, we've never had this bad. We struggled together for the liberation, even to fight the military before the democratic government came in. So what we are experiencing today, whatever coloration or name anybody want to call it, either political, ethnic, religious, or whatever connotation they give it, we are in total solidarity with our national leadership. That for no reason should the office of the national president of the labor movement in Nigeria be rubbish and be desecrated. With due respect to our leader, Comrade Adejumo, is entitled, very much respected opinion, that we should do less of politics because he is our leader. They set the tone for this politicking that gave birth to the space we have for the labor movement in politics. And we are intensifying the struggle to liberate the political space, to give room for Nigerians and people who are not money bags to participate actively in politics if they show shoes. As for the issue of Lagos, I've said it earlier on, this is the center of excellence. This is the land of aquatic splendor. This is where the major wealth of this country is created. We are very, very mindful that we don't want to hurt the private sector player in Lagos by enforcing our strike action. All the critical stakeholders and tendencies that are supposed to participate actively in this strike have been contacted. And I can assure you today, we are intensifying the struggle and we are getting more mobilized, that there will be greater and substantial compliance today, day 2 of this strike in Lagos. As you have rightly observed, most of the schools today in Lagos, the public school, the NUT, have already given a directive that they should observe the strike in solidarity. Also, ASU is also in solidarity with this strike. That is the tertiary institution. And the bank, as I have said earlier on, we have 2 branches of the union in the banking sector. We have the Nubife and the Asbife. So they are also being contacted to at least do some kind of picketing, down tool. They can go to work, but there won't be active service, not to paralyze the economy totally in Lagos, but to give a statement and a signal to the government of the day that the workers are united, because workers united can never be defeated. It is when we are not united that you can be defeated on any issue. So solidarity forever, and injury to one will ever remain an injury to all. In Lagos, we are very resolute, we are very, very tolerant, we are accommodating all divergent opinion, and we are listening and engaging the government of Lagos State, and they are doing the needful as at when due. Okay. So that's why there is no any problem in Lagos. But this directive is a marching order for us to implement, and we are implementing it totally.
Okay. So I just want to ask again, as we sing Soli, 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 what are we striking for? Is it because of all the pending issues on ground that a lot of people still feel Labour has disappointed Nigerians on? That when they ought to speak, they are not speaking? Are you also striking for the award, the state of the economy, the pain on the people? Or this is just for solely the attack that which we totally condemn on Mr. Joe Ajaero? So what are we striking for? Because you talked about the wage award and all of that. You talked about the 1 month deadline, but there are many things you required, asked for in those 1 month deadline that have not been done as we speak. So is it all encompassing? Is this also going to stretch across issues? That's number 1. Number 2 will be, what's the timeline plan for this? Normally, after 1 or 2 days, we see that there's a resolution. And thirdly, there's been talk about some people already saying they are not part of Labour. You talked about ASU. Konwa, for instance, say they are not going to go on strike. Their members are going to be at work. What's your say on that? And is Labour divided? I ask you.
Thank you, Mr. Oseni. I said it earlier on. The paramount interest of Nigerian workers is to ensure that there is a better pay for Nigerian workers and a good working environment for us to boost the economy, because we create the wealth of this nation. And the situation we find ourselves is so precarious that even the so-called minimum wage, the so-called take-home, cannot take us home. We are very, very depressed, but as a worker, we cannot be totally depressed to a level that we allow the economy to suffer. That's why we are so resilient, we are so dogged, we are so focused. In fact, I salute the courage of Nigerian workers for standing firm in the midst of these challenges to weather the storm that, yes, this economy together, we must create a better economy for Nigeria. We are not mindful of all the hardship, and that is why we are comrade. We encourage our people, and we continue to engage the government at all levels, apart from this circumstance that led to this ongoing strike. We are still going to go back to the table at the level of Lagos State, which I speak for on behalf of my state chairman, Comrade Agnes Essi, who is a bit under the weather. We have been having a robust engagement with the government of Lagos, and the government have been very, very sensitive to our plight. So there is no need for us to create an warranted atmosphere that will bring about a kind of heat that is will not be favorable to the economy of Lagos. But I can assure you, as we move on in this struggle, the government at the state level here in Lagos and at the national, because whatever that happen in Lagos, have a ripple effect in the whole federation. And that is why we are enjoining our comrades to support this struggle, that we must be resolute, press home our demand alongside other issues. The issue of what is it called? The palliatives. The government of Lagos State have also started in a couple of days, weeks now. There will be another batch of the palliatives that will be spread across all the sector to cushion the effect. The only issue we are pleading with the government of Lagos is the issue of mass transportation in the area of BRT. They have to look into it again because they've removed the 50% discount that was initially when the issue of subsidy started. They have to reinstate it because the issue is still very, very there. People are finding it difficult to commute from their various homes to their place of work. So we call on our listening governor, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, to work with the Lamata and other people in the transport sector in Lagos. We know he has been trying, he has been launching a lot of mass transit scheme to make sure that this palliatives in transport is restored. And aside that, in health sector, we also expect them to also give our senior citizens, the pensioner, a kind of consideration. Because in a past week now, some of them are about going on the street to protest. We quickly wage in to call them and engage with the government. But they have promised certain things to do to at least ameliorate their suffering. Among many other things, we are going to engage the government, and we believe strongly continuous and constructive engagement will get all we need to make a better economy and a better government in Lagos. Well, that is our focus.
Yes, Comrade Adejumo, I like the way you have tried to, define the robust engagement with the Lagos State government. And with regard to transportation, transportation is the first item on the theme's agenda of Governor Sanwo-Olu. Yes. And that's why he's been, talking about red line, blue line, launching red line and all of that. So it's good to hear that. In other words, you are saying that what happened to Comrade Joe Ajero in his own state of Imo, if he were to be visiting Lagos for protest or whatever, or leading workers, such a scenario would never have occurred. Is that what you are saying?
Yes.
Yes, sir. You are very
because
sure about
in Lagos, our governor is not only a Democrat, he respects the dignity and respect of labor leader that should be maintained and workers across board. He has never been a democratic junta like the governor of Imo say. I'm sorry to use that word. Because it is even the police that handed over our leader to the talk, led by one Shinaza. And they brutalized him. In fact, what they had, the intention what they wanted to do, if not for God's intervention, they would have killed our Congress president. And that would have been a worst case in this circumstance. Because Nigerian worker will never take it lightly.
The one thing.
Because even the days of military, I said, we've never had this bad for any governor to descend and plan to rubbish and intimidate, leader in such manner. Please, we are calling on the media to support us, to set agenda that we give the public that we in the labor movement, we are really fighting for their interests. But when we call on strike, it is the public that will be saying, it is not the government that are just coming up. Yes, we know the government is coming up, but we must engage them, bumper to bumper, and give them time frame of implementing all their promises.
Okay, Comrade
So if we have the support of the masses and the media, definitely the sky is our limit to get what is right from the government of the day. We are determined to do that.
Comrade Adejumo, Is the Nigerian Labour Congress, or let's say organized labor, above the laws of the land?
Yes.
Why do I say so? The position that has been maintained consistently by the federal government, even the presidency through Mr. Bayo Ononuga and the office of the Attorney General of the Federation, is that there is a subsisting order of court, the National Industrial Court, restraining labor from embarking on strike. On TV yesterday, Festus Osifo, the TUC president, was referring to the injunction of the National Industrial Court as a black market injunction. So it's organized labor above the law. And he was saying the strike will continue. Otherwise, let them come and arrest every Nigerian worker. No, I will not be part of those Nigerian workers that should be arrested because of contempt of court order. So is organized labor above the law?
Thank you very much, Dr. Robin Abati. As you know, before now, the labor movement, the organized labor, have always been a respecter of rule of law. There are so many attempts to embark on strike or to picket and do some other thing that we always see overnight court injunction restraining us, and we have been duly and diligently obeying this court order. But this one in question, I am still in doubt of whether the national leadership have been served formally, because when there is an injunction and we have not been properly served, definitely you will still be in doubt of whether it is real or not. But we read it in the newspaper, like every other citizen, that there have been injunction from the National Industrial Court restraining us from embarking on strike. I want to assure you, the leadership of NLC and TUC are very, very, mindful of the implication of, flouting the court order, which can lead to contempt. But be that as it may, this notice for this strike has been there for like 2 weeks for all the party concerned to do the needful. But they want to at least take us for granted. And that is why the leadership are taking the responsibility. If it is for the government to arrest all the leadership, detain them or lock them up, so be it. But there must be a voice. And that is the only way we can make our voice, is to do this kind of action to make sure that government at least used to our demand. We are a respecter of law. We believe in the rule of law, and we are part of the movement that led to the military out of the scene, that fought the military junta. So we should not come back and be doing what is undemocratic, and that is why we will still maintain our standard. We are very, very democratic, and we respect our judiciary.
Okay.
And the judiciary also should be sensitive about the plight of Nigerians, that when there are instances or situations whereby the worker must exercise their fundamental right of association and expression, we should not be strangulated by giving that kind of court of order, which is very, very untimely. That is the unfortunate situation we find ourselves.
You are giving your own orders to the judges, to the justices. Okay, we have the Arise News, the kind of things we see. We have the interview with Festus Osifo now available. If our producers can just put that up so that Comrade Adejumo can see that too.
I know he wasn't there for any strike. He was there, to address the workers on the next line of action. That is where the government has got the entire thing wrong. Because Adejumo was not there he didn't go to Labour Party office to advocate for any candidate. He didn't go to a PDP office to advocate for any candidate. He was in Labour House. He was in Labour House. He was assaulted in Labour House. He was assaulted in the house of a Labour. So he was not seen in any other place outside the Labour House. So for government to continuously link this with politics, well, that is their own kettle of fish. But for us, the Labour movement, for us, we are protecting our president, and we will continuously protect him. So if they are reading it wrong, maybe that's why they've not made any statement. That is their own business. But for us, we will continuously advocate for what is right. Yes, we have said, what he said, that the entire Nigerians, you know, we are Nigerians as well. If you go to the hospitals, most of the hospitals are functioning. If you go to, that is why we are also trying to manage the situation so that the downtrodden, because if the political class, they are sick today, they send their kids abroad. But the downtrodden, we need to send their children to the hospital. So those critical infrastructures, we are allowing our people to continuously man them so that the downtrodden Nigerians will not suffer. But we want Nigerians to understand that Joe Ajaero is not just Joe Ajaero. Joe Ajaero represents an institution. So that institution has been battered today. Like as I said,
so it's a bit like attacking the Nigerian president.
Exactly.
I mean, if you did that, Nigeria would be expected to respond.
Look at what's happening today. Look at Israel today. Look at what is happening today in Israel. So when you attack one, most especially a symbol of an institution, you have attacked that institution. So you cannot dictate to the institution how the institution will also react. But this blame should go to the Nigerian government because they have the period to act. Today they started scrambling around. But why haven't they scrambled around since this thing happened on November 1st? November 1st, it happened on the 3rd. A statement was issued that will go on strike on the 8th. We did not. On the 7th, we met. We shifted evaluation. They had 2 weeks to act. But nobody deem it fit or deem it important to act. So for us, we will continuously push until government institutions act. I think the first person that will be in contempt of court is the Attorney General himself, because if you could see that severally we've had, even in this dispensation, you could see that Emefiele, for example, you heard severally when court said they should release him, the DSS should release him.
That is Godwin Emefiele, the former governor of the Central Bank.
You heard severally. Yeah. So we are copying what the federal government is doing. That's number one. Then number two as well. As of today, I don't have a copy of that service. I saw it in television. Anybody could go to television and publish anything. Perhaps, which court are we talking about? Is it the same court that is being described by just the retired justice of the Supreme Court? Who owns the court? The same government owns the court. You cannot continuously take black market injunction to cripple labor. You have to, before you do that, you have to arrest the entire Nigerian workers, and we are ready for it.
Okay, Festus Usifo there describing court injunctions as black market injunctions. Well, thank you very much, Comrade Adejumo, for joining us on the morning show.